Que se derribe el norillo y el del costado derecho.
Okay, let's talk about the Horizon 202. But first, how did I get here? Not like in the closet, but how did I obtain this camera? Well, eBay, of course. So I went down the rabbit hole of looking for a Jeff Lux with wide bridges. And when I saw these prices, the brakes were hit hard. But then the alternative revealed itself. And glorious, inspired by your recent views. So I snatched one up. And I am so glad that I did, because I love this camera. I love all of its quirky little idiosyncrasies, from the way you have to hold it to loading it, and even the horrible noise that it makes on the slower shutter speeds. But overall, this camera is just fun. It's super simple, it doesn't overcomplicate things, and it's really freeing creatively. So, for those reasons, I wanted to create a channel dedicated to Horizon content, with maybe a few other cameras sprinkled in here and there. Because a lot of other reviews that I've seen just focus on how strange it is or comparing it to the Wide Lux, and everyone comes to the ultimate conclusion that it just doesn't fit in their workflow. But what if you made it the focus of your workflow? And that's the question that I wanted to answer. So let's go through some specs. We'll look at a couple photos that I did on a few day trips, and then we'll go through a partial CLA where I learned a lot, and I hope you will too. So let's get into it. The 202 has a 28mm fixed focus MC RSAT lens. This lens is mounted on a rotating turret that gives a 120-degree field of view, producing a much wider negative measuring at 24 by 58mm. In order to level your shot, within the viewfinder there is a mirror that reflects the bubble level on top of the camera. And I love the old manual that illustrates a level shot versus an unlevel one. Here's an example of properly leveled versus that fisheye distortion when angled. In terms of shutter speeds, you have 6 options split into 2 groups of 3. The orange being the slower speeds at 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2, and the white being the faster speeds at 1/60th, 1/25th, and 1/250th. Your aperture values sit above, ranging from f2.8 to f16. I'll leave a link to the manual with the depth of field chart in the notes. So, in order to select aperture or shutter speeds, the advanced lever has to be engaged. Then, use the selector tab to choose the fast or slow shutter speed group. So by moving it to the white, I've chosen 1/60th instead of 1/2. What's ingenious about this camera is that it only has 2 speeds, but by increasing or decreasing the slit on the back of the lens dome, you're exposing your film to light at different rates, therefore giving you 6 different shutter speeds, which I think is fascinating. But that's not to say the camera is without fault. So let's list off some of the issues it has. Film scratches. That's this blue line at the bottom of the frame. Figure out what's scratching your film internally. Exposure banding and light leaks. Know the difference so you can diagnose the problem. We'll talk about the banding later in the video. Lens flares. Be conscious of any light source in the frame because they do not give your picture's character. Frame overlap and a double exposure. Be careful with your advance lever because if you crank it too hard, you can end up with some whack frames like this. So now that we've run through the camera, let's take a look at some photos. I took it out to a Charreria tournament in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina, and then out with the family on a few day trips. So let's get into it. Finally, let's tear this thing apart and fix the banding issue. All right, so the only thing I could find on how to fix the banding issue was a WordPress article from 2014, which basically says how the issue are these two bushings at the base of the lens turret that become kind of worn out, and then they allow for torsional vibration, which can cause your turret to slow down at certain parts, causing the banding issue. So let's start. So first things first, you want to take the bubble level off the top of the horizon. You can use an optical spanner wrench if you can order one of those, or just a regular spanner wrench. I ended up having to use 2 tweezers from a watch repair kit. Then just remove the 2 front plate screws. Bam, bam. Push in the film rewind button. That way you can pop off the top cover. All right. Move it along, move it along. All right, be sure to save that because it has like a foam little bushing there. So make sure you have like a tray or something to put all these tiny screws and little pieces in. This part was incredibly difficult. Trying to get that screw undone, or that little bolt, was a nightmare. And underneath it, there is this incredibly fragile plastic, I don't know, almost like washer looking thing. And you got to be careful. That'll fly across the room very easily. More bolts holding the back together. Then we are going to remove the tripod mount, and that one's not that hard to get off. All right, all right. All right, then you pull up your film rewind to open the back door, and this is where it gets tricky. You need to press in these tabs that hold the door in so you can pop the door off. And this was easily the most difficult part of the entire process. Those things don't want to give at all. And I think you can see by my LED headlamp furiously blinking and stuff, it matches my frustration. And that's when I like totally obliterated where those little hinge pins go. Next, we're going to take off the retainer ring for the handle mount. Inside there, that's where you keep your filters. And that gives you enough flexibility to push that back plate off. The plastic's pretty sturdy, so you don't have to worry about that. So now we're going to take the 3 bolts off of the speed control module. This is what you have to take off to get to the bushings on the bottom of the turret. Save that for later. And then you want to cock your film advance lever halfway. That way you can see the bushings and get it to rotate in the way of it. All right. This is also super tricky. Trying to get these little plastic bushings out is a nightmare. And if you don't have like a headlamp, I suggest you get one because it is very dark and hard to see. All right, those are out of there. And this is where I made my mistake. I took the measurements from the S3 Pro's measurements for these bushings and did not compare them with the original ones. So when I put them in, they were huge, but I was so done with it. I was like, let's just stick it in there and go. All right, next, clean off all your little gears and cogs, any buildup, any dust. And I'm using fishing rod reel lubricant. You could use gun oil or just anything that is for lubricating tiny mechanical parts. And I just kind of put it in there indiscriminately. So the bushings are in, and now time to reassemble the whole thing. And that's about it. If you stuck with me this long, I really appreciate it. And I am so excited to get into the next video. But first I gotta get out of this closet. Not like that.